There's this girl at the orphanage. I think that she really needs someone to look out for her.
Carlito suffers from a touch of madness.
You must be very careful, Margaret. Bad things will start to happen around her. Evil things.
It's all for you. No, don't.
The first Omen. Well, got another prequel to a series, so let's see how good this gets. So, I didn't see this when it came out in theaters. I didn't see it. I wanted to. I just got busy and just didn't get a chance to see it. But then recently it dropped on Hulu, which is great. So I was like, you know what? Finally, I get to watch it. And before I went into it, from the trailer alone, I went like, okay, I see some of this could potentially be good. But I also can see where this can fall on its face. And then I heard people talking about it, and they said, like, it actually succeeded, which I was fairly surprised and very happy to hear about, because if you don't know the Omen series very well, there's seven movies? I think 7 now, if I count this new one. And if you really want to look through it with a microscope, there's only one good movie. If you really want to think about it, there's only really one good movie, and that's the original. And so I really didn't have a whole lot of hopes that this was going to be good, but man, did it really surprise me on how good this actually turned out to be. And I was fairly surprised about it. So it's about a woman who is sent to Rome to begin like service at a church, but then as she's there, she starts to uncover that, there's actually this conspiracy at the church to which they want to bring the Antichrist because they believe that it will actually help them in life. And yeah, that'll work out just fine. But this is a prequel to the first movie from, I believe, 76, 70, 77? I think like 75, like roughly around there, the late 70s. And I really wanted this to be good because the series, it's pretty much like there's only one good movie, and that's the first one. So I really was hoping that this was going to be good, and wow, this shocked me on how good this was. Also, come to find out that the director of this, who was also one of the writers, really only came from TV, and like they did like stuff for like Legion and Channel Zero. So I was from first glances, you really you have little to no expectations because they came from TV. So you start wondering like, okay, you've now been given this big opportunity to make a studio film, but that's not the only pressure you have. You now have the pressure of, it being another film in a long-lasting film series. So, no pressure there. But I was very, very surprised on how good this was. And also, there were moments in here where I was surprised they actually did what they did. I won't spoil it, but there are some parts in like some of the scares that they mix in with gore that I was like, whoa, like, okay, I wasn't expecting to see something like this before, but look at that. All right, we got it. And so that alone, the fact that it was able to surprise me on that scale gets points for it. And it also like it doesn't, it's not jump scare city, which is what I was expecting it to be. It's actually well thought out, dragged, kind of like time provoking scares that I was very happy they did. And I was so glad that this wasn't going to be just like jump scare city. I was really just kind of going like, all right, well, I'll lower expectations for this just because I really don't want this to be, what I thought it was going to be. And even like some of like the cinematography too, really well done. Like, it's in the trailer. There's a shot where it's, you like have a person and then it starts panning out and then you see all the candles around. It actually forms almost like a devilish face. And I was like, okay, that's cool. And they don't try to like slap you over the face with it where they make you go, hey, look at this. But it's something where if you look around and just go, oh, that's a nice little effect. That's a nice little shot. So there were shots like that were just like, ooh, that's really cool. Like, I really dig that. I think, the acting is very believable. Situations is just, it's weird, and you're kind of going like, in retrospect, if, this was happening, I'd be, getting the hell out of there. But, main character, there's a reason why. There's a reason why they can't, and at the same time, they don't want to. So it's not like one of those situations where you can easily leave. It's, in this case, not really. You can try to leave, but you really can't. And it sucks. I also spotted a lot of similarities between this and Immaculate. And there are a lot of comparisons between them. But I would say that I enjoyed this one more than that one because it was a prequel to a long-lasting series and it didn't suck. So right there you get points for that. But, there are also parts just much like Immaculate where I was like, okay, I kind of expect what's going to happen. And they do happen, but they actually don't just say, hey, this happens because magic. They actually go in and explain like why all this happens and how did this all happen. And you're like, wow, this actually is a lot more detailed than I thought. Wow. Okay, cool. Even though it was something I was expecting, you actually, there was a reason why, and nothing was really left out. So I was fairly surprised and very, very pleased to see that they actually took the time and didn't want this to be much like the other ones and just go like, hey, you know what, we're just going to do this because we have the property and let's just see if we can, get something out of this again. And this one, well, at first it did feel that way. It actually doesn't. It doesn't feel like that at all. It doesn't feel like the studio just said, hey, we have the property. Let's see if we can, kick this horse again. Let's see if we can resurrect this horse again and then kick it down again. It doesn't feel that way. It actually is well thought out. It's, what actually happens is like okay, I expect that, but wow, there's actually a reason for everything that happened. It's like, all right, you got me. You really did. So, I would give this one a great, much like Immaculate, where I gave that a great as well. I personally liked this one more, and I think Immaculate may drop down a little bit, probably to like a lower grade, because I still enjoyed that one. But this one, but after seeing this one, it's definitely higher than that one. And they, they were able to, pull this up from the bootstraps again. When I thought, touching this series again was a bad idea, they actually managed to, pull it off. And I was fairly surprised and very happy to see that. So I definitely recommend the movie, especially if you haven't seen any of the Omen films. This is a prequel, so you could watch this, and it leads into the first one pretty good and explains stuff from that. They're like, oh, well, shoot, nice. So you really it gives you just enough of the first one to then say, like, okay, like I kind of know the very little of what I'm going to get into. So yeah, this was fairly good. I was very surprised that they were able to actually make this good and make it work as well as they did. So bravo, you guys. Great work.
How do you control people who no longer believe? You create something to fear. I believe the girl is to be the mother.
Mother of what?
It's the mark of the devil.
It's not real. 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 What's not real? Who said that?
This is very real.